faith within your hands. Faith within your hands. Faith within your hands. Faith within your hands. Yeah. When you're thinking of giving up, oh no, you know the truth is struggle. We are all the same. There is always something that goes wrong. Feel like it's never fate. There isn't time to stay. Yeah, you need to fall down. You need to come out. You need to fall down into your crown. That little
Ready, set, imagine. Welcome to our very first Facebook Live. We are so very happy to open this channel for our audience. I am Tommaso Cartia. I am the editor-in-chief of Pois-On.
And I am Daniela Pavan, Artistic Director of Pois-On. So, hi everybody. Today we are here to continue our hashtag Creativity Will Save Us series, through which we are giving voice to prominent figures from the world of art, culture, and entertainment, who are coming together to reflect on the central value of creativity to navigate these challenging times of the global COVID-19 pandemic, and to inspire us to co-create and redesign the world of tomorrow.
Exactly, well said, Daniela. And today we do it with a very special guest who is joining us directly from Paris, Guila Clara Kessous, a French human rights artist and academic who is also one of the UNESCO's Artists for Peace, which is a selected group of international celebrity advocates for the United Nations Agency. Welcome, Guila, to our Creativity Pois-On show.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me, really.
Thank you very much. So, Guila, I want to briefly introduce you to our audience before going into the actual interview and explore the reason why we thought that your unique voice as a full-rounded artist perfectly resonates with our hashtag Creativity Will Save Us project, as you brilliantly put your creative powers into active fruition to design a more sustainable world. And then we'll go into the details later. So, besides being a UNESCO ambassador, you have been also appointed Knight of Arts and Letters by the French Ministry of Culture for your work on the influence of French culture overseas. You have a PhD in Ethics and Aesthetics, an MBA in Cultural Business, and an MA in Comparative Dramaturgy, Cinema, and Pedagogy. But this is just the background, because on the foreground, there is so much more, including your work as an actress. You're a gold medal of dramatic arts. You're a producer and director of shows, creative director and fashion designer, and a set of illustrious collaborations from John Malkovich, Elie Wiesel, Marisa Berenson, Claudia Cardinale, James Taylor, actress Eva Longoria, and then brands Tom Ford, Marc Jacobs, Christian Lacroix. You were former creative director of Jean-Paul Gaultier, and the list will be actually endless. We selected just a little bit. And we are going to touch base with all of these topics during our interview. But I want to introduce our conversation by just simply asking you, how are you doing these days?
I'm fine. How not to be fine with some wonderful people like you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity also to share the work I'm doing to all of our listeners here. And I'm delighted to be with you, really.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are really excited to have you here with us today to explore all of these themes. And I also want to thank who actually made this connection happening, our common friend, who was also one of our podcast hosts, actually the first one, Mara de los Santos. Yes. So, Mara is also the executive producer of Melange, a movement celebrating diversity and self-love through fashion and the arts, which you are also involved with as one of their advisors. And also, we will be talking about the Resiliart, UNESCO's initiative with you, which, as we will see, has so many points in common with hashtag Creativity Will Save Us. And, as we somehow share a similar mission. But before we talk about that, I would like to start our conversation with you with a simple, but maybe not that very simple question. That is, what does creativity mean to you?
Okay, so that's a very, very big question to begin with. I think I will remind Albert Einstein a quote who says that creativity is intelligence having fun. Intelligence having fun, which is in fact, this notion of at the same time trying to be very rational, but trying in this rationality to insert a little doubt and a little dose of something that does not fully make sense. For me, really, creativity has to do with this child soul that we have. And it's really just getting this inner naivety, curiosity of discovering again the world and building a new colorful world. Yeah, colorful world. I think that would be also one of a definition that I think could be.
Now that we explored a little bit more what creativity means to you, I'm actually interested in understanding what difference creativity has made in your life. Have you always felt the creative spark since you were a little kid? And if you did, how was your creative world?
When I was a kid, I had this impression that grown-ups were very intelligent and very brave, and that they had all the codes to fully understand, what's going on in the world. I couldn't wait to be at that stage of trying to have a better way to understand the code and have a real inner grasp to reality. And so I had the chance to have been raised loving art, loving music, loving books. So I was exposed from a very young age to the world of creativity, I would say. So for me, it's just, when I remember of it, just a world full of dreams. It's a world full of naivety also. I was talking about to objects, to nature, to trees, to flowers. So for me, the identification was going everywhere, and the way to interact with anything, I could interact to an umbrella, a table. And so it was really a way that I used to behave, and I think I still behave like this when I really wonder, what direction should I go? Sometimes I ask, anything I see that could be considered a friend, and usually the weirdest thing is that with creativity, the thing is actually answering you. So.
Yeah, so you find magic in nature, in the surroundings, still find magic in the surroundings.
Exactly. And it's not only a faculty of talking to an object, it's also a faculty to make the object responding to you. And that's what I like.
Yeah,
right. Communication sense. And suddenly you realize that exactly, you were talking about spark of creativity. Sometimes ideas are calling to you and you don't know where it comes from, but suddenly it comes and you're just like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You're calling me, so the least I could do is just to go your way. I mean,
right. I understand you. It's like a stream, right? You're like a stream that suddenly hits you.
And I would not define it as extra lucidity. And I think it's just what I could say about my childhood also is I was a very, very serious girl. So I was very good at school. I was trying to really be a nice girl for my parents, nice girl for my professors. I was not very talented. And so for me, the teenage world was like a fantastic world. People could interact freely. And I was like all young people and uneasy with my body and had a lot of pimples in my face and was very ashamed of just doing and, get to seduction. So basically all of my little people around me, all of objects or little books that I could read was integrated in order for me to enrich my inner world and have the possibility, the capacity to enter in communication with many things. And that's what I could say, about childhood and the way to create your playground, because I think creativity is also considered the world as a playground.
And it connects very well with what you said earlier, like the quote, creativity is imagination having fun. So that's it's intelligence having fun, sorry. So it's also that part of the conversation very well reflects what you just said about how you interacted with the creative world when you were younger. And about this, I think also that what is extremely interesting about you as a creator is that you seem to have like a very strong thinking mindset that is about integration and not about polarity or division. Proven is all, the different disciplines in which you apply your creativity. So can you guide us a little bit, through them and what's the common ground? Because this is something that really fascinates me a lot.
Well, I think that one of the reason of this is really a question of vision default. I have, I don't know how you say that in English, but I think it's astigmatism. So, when you have problems with different disciplines.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if there is a specific medical word in English for that. But so basically for me, there is a necessity, which is of course in my head. I kept that from my childhood. When I put glasses, maybe I see, but I'm ugly.
Yeah.
So when I put my glasses, I looked like Clark Kent. But of course, when I put it out, I felt more sexy.
Like me.
You're beautiful with and without. But for me, I was like, okay, this is a little black duck, with the glasses. And one day I would just put my glasses and be superwoman and super sexy. Okay, but when I get out of the glasses, which is the case now, and which is the case anytime I go on stage, there is something that happened in my eyes where I couldn't see, but very kind of blurry. And there is a way for me to take a little distance, which forces me to see nature differently. And this is also, I think, for me, a vital way to always think about not just go, but take a step back and try to see the full perspective of it. Try to unite things in order for can only distinguish one, I would say, shadow of something. Try to imagine what could be the continuity of the object in order for that to make sense. So you would say, okay, it's a big risk to come on stage and not fully see. But for me, who was extremely stressed, and still stressed, for me talking in front of you, stressful because you're expecting a lot from me. So for me, who is someone who is stressed, just by not watching completely clearly the audience is a way for me to reassure that, okay, they are not me and are not, having maybe, cross eyebrow and being very serious. But so I could have the capacity to just fulfill the image. And this is what I try to do. Any type of creativity is like try to distinguish clearly apart, but imagine that there is a way for you to, even when you see, which is something very natural, try to force your eyes to take a little something personal of you and make it the way you want to see it. So sometimes even if, the sun is not appearing in the, clouds, try to just imagine and take a little part of you to put that sun and that light you want to appear. So this is my way of functioning, I would say, physically speaking. And this is also, I would say, a philosophy that I developed that I would qualify creative or maybe survival, strategy also.
Right. And I think that what you're saying is exactly, part of the DNA of our Creativity Will Save Us project, because we wanted not only to give the audience, a snapshot of what our contemporary artists and creatives like you are doing to confront now the lockdown and the emergency, but also how much we can learn from the way their brain works. Now that we are called all together, in the global scheme of things, to redesign new ways and new models of doing basically everything. So I think that somehow the UNESCO's Resiliart movement is in line with our Artistic Creativity Will Save Us project, since Resiliart aims to highlight the current state of creative industries by giving a voice to decision makers cultural industry professionals and artists, both established and emerging.
Resilient Movement was initiated by UNESCO to do exactly what you're doing, guys, which is really showing how creative people, such as artists, including all type of arts, we have UNESCO artists, we have ambassadors, goodwill ambassadors, and so how those people who are basically the less, how would I put it, in the society, they are considered the less aware, strategically, politically speaking, compared to, I would say, scientists. And in my creativity journey, I learned that from a very young age. Each time I wanted to tell my parents, for example, that I wanted to have a career linked to theater, they would be like, oh no, that's really too dangerous. Don't be an artist. You need to be sure to earn your life. But when I was telling them that I would do a PhD, okay, so here, of course, you can do it. So that's
change the thing, right?
Value that's given to the artists compared to the value who's given to the to the scientist, for example. And so the Resilient movement was really trying to have this place of the artist being back again as the first consultant for a better society, a better world. And so the notion of togetherness that Resilient is promoting is really trying to see with the creative eyes of artists some solutions in order to cope with what's happening in terms of crisis and COVID-19.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, we are together in this mission. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Also because, if I can say, I believe that in this situation of the global pandemic emergency, somehow we all have a lot to learn from artists, especially two main elements that are like two main points, resilience and flexibility. Artists are showing to the world how resilient they are as people and creative minds, and also how flexible they can be in developing new creative thoughts during difficult times. And these are two very important qualities, in my opinion, that will lead us to go through change and to evolve not just as professionals, but as human species, because I believe these are two very important elements for evolution in general, and artists have those elements, those qualities within themselves in a very natural way. So speaking, thank you again for sharing this, because as you and Tommaso were saying, both our projects, the Resilient project and Creativity Will Save Us, have a lot in common. And speaking about creative projects, as the youngest UNESCO artist for peace, a few years ago you developed the so-called creative test for the Control Creative Crew, which is used to reveal someone's personality from their designs. And simple, and at the same time very, very interesting and intriguing. This concept is very innovative as well as surprising. So I would like to go through it with you, just to get to know this creativity test a little bit more and to share it with our project, with our audience, because we are very curious about it, to get to know more with you.
Okay, with great pleasure. So, well, first of all, you have to know that for me, the ars, in terms of Latin etymology, it comes really from what you're doing with your hands. So there is something that is very manual in, I think, artistic. And for me, theater is the way that I would define the artistic complexity for me, because theater is really an art dealing with the body, the full body, and the mind also, and the emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Because the body is really serving the cause of a character, and of course the emotion needs to be read on the face of the actor who embody the character. So when I got to Harvard University for my postdoc, I had the chance to go to a class from the happiness professor, very well-known Professor Tal Sahar, who's a professor of positive psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
wow, yeah,
Yeah, so this is where I discover psychology, neurosciences, and I really was passionate about that. And so I spoke to him and I said that I loved what he was doing, but I said that I really wanted to have a perspective from him of finding a way to connect the body and the mind and this notion of revealing, I would say, a positive side of the psychology. And so he gave me carte blanche. He let me think about a test that could be done in order to reveal the inner positive strength of the people. And so after working with some psychologists, we realized that by working on simple shapes, that would be geometrical shapes, mentally speaking, people will be inclined to complete the shape a certain way. So we got this test to many, many people. And what was fantastic in that each shape was linked to a drawing that meant something to these people. And so the way we discovered it was doing a very simple test. And this is something that I strongly advise all of the people who are listening to me to do, because you will see this is something you can do with your family, your friends, and you will always be impressed by what you will discover. So it's very simple. You just have to ask a person to take a white page and draw from left to right. So one circle, one square, one triangle, and then a diamond, three crosses, one small, one middle, and one big, and one cross at the end. And you will ask a person to fill the shape in order for the shape to become a real drawing. So for example, for the circle, people could do some, things around to make a sun, and ask the person to write down one word under each shape. And what is wonderful is that each case is dealing with a part of your personality. So you have one case about how you perceive from others, one how you perceive your home, one how you perceive your friends, etc., etc. And what is very nice is that with these creative tests, you will have a sense of better self-knowledge about your creativity. And even if you don't feel that you're creative, the simple fact of forcing your brain to fulfill a shape is already forcing you to be in a creative position, which is, I need to put my personal touch to something that seems extremely cold, extremely geometric. Exactly the way I was explaining, I see half shape of an object and I need with my eyes to recreate. This is my creative part, to recreate, putting my personal and make it the way I want. So this is a way for you to also test your creativity, and I strongly advise you to just go and test it.
Absolutely, we will. That's very fascinating. That's very fascinating. I love it. So you touched base a little bit about your involvement also with theater, the dramatic arts. So I was curious, how did you apply the dramatic arts into the fashion world? Because fashion is another big part of you as a creative. So I want to explore this a little bit more.
So I think that theater is really the red line of all my career so far. No matter what I'm doing, it's always linked to drama. It's always linked to theater. It's always linked to this notion of taking the risk to expose yourself, taking the risk to use orality to how to communicate, taking the risk to have your body viewed. And this is exactly what this fashion is all about. It's all about a theatrical show dealing with people who dare to expose their body, plus something very important, and this is where I made the link, plus the scenery. And I had the chance to work with some famous brands as artistic director, as what we are calling dramaturg. So sometimes, some creator asked me to even do the voice. So I had to do a poem, for example, and I had a DJ mixing it while you had models in the catwalk. Sometimes it was only just trying to find a way to illustrate So they gave me carte blanche, and I had to think about which place I want, which I'm going to give you an idea. So one of the last Cartier thing was this, I don't know if you saw it, this amazing tent clouded that was made in Trocadero, Paris, in order for you to be immersed in this cloud and have a wonderful tent coming up. So you had a scale, and you had to climb up the scale in order to be immersed. So this is the type of artistic thing that I could have done. I was not the one doing this, but I've done things with Jean-Paul Gaultier, with Africans beat, for example.
Exactly. Yes.
This is so it touched all of the creation of a universe linked to creativity, really trying to find a way to catch up the interest of people and make it beautiful.
So I think that, somehow all of these projects that you just highlighted are something that we need also to explore a little bit more, especially also the collaborations that you were discussing about, the fashion industry that you mentioned earlier. So, I mean, you worked with Cartier developing the humanitarian project that helps to bring awareness around the topics of girls' education, and also with Jean-Paul Gaultier, as you were saying, for the African women, and also with Le Taneur, the luxury bags brand, for to raise money to open orphanages. And I would like to add another piece to this conversation about how was collaborating with these names in terms of design philanthropist projects, because this is kind of an angle that I think is very interesting, and I would like to explore it with you a little bit more.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to sharing this, because this is one of my passion too. So I've talked about scenery, I spoke about artistic direction, but I had the chance also to be asked to do some collab, so creating an object dedicated to a brand. But no, I would say that no matter which brand is contacting me, I always ask that money that will be developed from my survey would go to a cause. So you mentioned different causes that I already had the chance to serve as part of a philanthropy. But really, the goal is really to show that those brands, which are mostly, I would say, rich, can also distribute through my work, redistribute some of the percentage, that they make to a cause that they really believe in. As a UNESCO Artist for Peace, this is also what is nice, is that because of the prestige of the brand and the prestige of UNESCO, there is a way to do a follow-up to see that the money has been given to the people actually that they were supposed to. So that's something very important. And of course, I was extremely flattered. And so we mentioned also Mélange, and that was very nice to mention it, because this is thanks to them that I linked with you. And I want to say hello to Nick Navarro, who is the founder of Mélange, and who was my student. And basically, he was also the one working on it at Harvard University, and doing such a thing was extremely daring, in a university like Harvard, who is more or less, old school. So this is, I think, something that needs to be said, because fashion now is not only a question of selling beautiful objects or clothes, or fashion is also a way to position yourself toward the world in a responsible and ecological way. So I think now all the brands understood it, especially after COVID-19, and this is now or never that artists could be heard in terms of, I would say, responsible creativity.
Yes, I agree, and I think this is a wonderful explanation about your collaboration, and also how fashion exactly is not just beautiful objects, but means also making good for others, and how your presence and your projects with these brands actually brought this part of the fashion industry to the table, because not a lot of people are aware of this, and I think it's important actually to explore it a little bit more, and to build probably even more awareness around these projects. And on the philanthropic side, you, in addition to all these projects that you worked with and you developed, you also received a very prestigious award in 2015. You were presented by the Eva Longoria Foundation, UNICEF France, and the Global Gift Foundation, alongside with Ms. Laetitia Casta, with the Global Gift Philanthropist Award. And this award recognizes outstanding individuals who have distinguished themselves through exceptional philanthropic service. And now, since we talked a lot about this, this side of the story, I would like to know from you, how did you feel in receiving this exceptional recognition?
Well, I felt good.
I know.
I felt very good. I felt honored. I felt proud. Moreover, it was very interesting to see how I was functioning in the people world, that I'm absolutely not used to it. And what I have to admit is that now, when I want to get awareness to a certain cause, if I'm asking someone part of this people's sphere, I was talking, of course, about John Malkovich, but, recently I had Barbara Streisand, or I had any type of new people, I knew they would say, okay. And I think this is for me, very rewarding, because it's something that says a lot. I had the chance to work with some great actors, old friends, international. But each time that I was in need for someone to represent a cause, they were there. And I was very touched that Eva Longoria was here, for the Cointreau Creative Crew. Cointreau Creative Crew was really trying to support women's creativity as an entrepreneur. So basically, we gave fellowships to women in order for them to develop their first business. So that was very nice. And I was very happy also to have worked with some other very famous people. I named, of course, John Malkovich. I had Marie Saber and son. Or, right now we're working also with the foundation of Leonardo DiCaprio. And we hope to also do some reading with him regarding all of the question of the water. So each time that, I'm trying to get awareness to a certain thing. So maybe it's because of the prestige of these, rewards and awards you mentioned, or the UNESCO, but they are here and they really support what we are doing. And I think this is extremely important for the rest of the world to understand.
Going back a little bit to the conversation that we had before about creative minds, and Daniela actually introduced a subject that's very timely as we are progressing as a human species, about polarity and going towards a mindset that it's about unity. Also thinking what is happening right now, the world is it's in such turmoil because of diversity. Once again, we are just experienced the riots, the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement, which is so important. And I think that everything that we are doing from hashtag creativity will save us from Resiliat, from your work. It's going towards redesign how we can really progress as a species and not be defeated by all of this. What do you think?
I think you're completely right. And in my article, I mentioned that collective immunity, this collective immunity that we are using as an expression in order to say that no matter if you're not taking protection, if you're not taking any ways to protect yourself during the COVID, there will be a certain level of death among people, and the virus will go away by itself. This is this collective immunity This is the politics that some of the North country have been applying, which I think is extremely risky, because basically you're not asking people to just be aware and be conscious about the risk they are having in the COVID-19. So for me, I really think that we need to exchange the collective immunity to the collective humanity. And this is our way to understand how to stick together and how to basically learn to live through our differences and really try. I was talking about the creativity and the half part of rationality and half part of dream, and really this is our task and our responsibility to achieve the painting. And this achieving the painting, need to understand that we are each a color in the painting that needs to be together in order to actually see a little light appear. And this light is not only light, for beauty, it's truth, it's reality, it's the world the way it should be, because we have been created all different. The most beautiful creativity is the one that we are watching among us, with everybody being a person, but being different, with not the same nose, not the same eyes, not the same eyebrow, and not the same. So it's very interesting, because I don't know if it happened to you, but sometimes I watch someone, I look at someone and I'm like, I think I met this person before.
Right.
Look at it, and maybe you see, no, the nose is a little different now. And you're just like amazed, because wow, you really think that you might have a twin somewhere, you look like exactly, and you have your type. No matter which type you have, this type will have people think that you are fitting a stereotype, and you will never be against that. But no matter what, you need, first of all, to trust in yourself, not to fit the stereotype. So have, I would say, an exemplary behavior in order to really show, first of all, the person is wrong in terms of stereotype, and second, just go with open hand to this person and say, you know what, I might know a little something you might not know, and let's share it together. So I do think that this is what we need to learn in this togetherness of the collective humanity.
Wonderful. And I invite everybody to go and read the article that we published on our Storytelier on www.creativepoison.com, spelled creative poison.com. And because really, when I read it before publishing it, I was amazed. And this is why we are doing this, to hear creatives talking like this. It's healing, and that's what we need right now.
Thank you so much.
And
thank you.
I agree. It was a beautiful reading that I highly recommend as well.
Yes.
And also I have and my question now is about actually more on the business side. That Tommaso and myself are a very good team, because we are very diverse, because Tommaso is more focused for background and for passion on the humanistic side of the conversation about creativity, and I am more
we are biodiverse.
We are. So talking about let's say creativity and how it can drive us into the next phases of the global pandemic. I would like to ask you, what can we expect, in your opinion, that will happen to the business of tomorrow, and in particular to the creative businesses? And if you think of some very practical tool that we should, sharpen or develop in this moment to in this moment that we are all somehow in a sort of let's call it pause phase, and what could this tool be, in your opinion?
Well, I think you said that artist has those two sides to give it to the world, and in the business side, flexibility today will be the capacity of businesses to survive. So it's not the one who will be the richest who will survive. And I do think that this is the business which will adapt themselves most, be more flexible in terms of the market. So I had the chance to work as a coach. So after meeting Tal Ben-Shahar, this happiness professor at Harvard, he convinced me to become a coach, saying that the work I was doing with survivors was beautiful, but if I wanted to have a real societal change in the world, I needed to also focus on companies. I needed also to focus on institutions and using coaching. So a certified coach, using all the theatrical techniques and all the learnings I have from survivors, because my PhD was under Elie Wiesel's direction, so the great Nobel Prize piece, and I had the chance to work, mentioned it, with Malala Yousafzai and Albert Nsengimana, from the Rwanda genocide. So all of this knowledge, I try to really work on it in order to help to help CEOs and to help the corporate world to understand how resilience can be translated into corporate world. And what is very interesting we see is that those key PIs, the key performance indicators, are today need to be adapted to key BIs in terms of behavior. And you were asking me what type of tips can I give? I would say the notion of proximity to collaborators. We're talking about flexibility. I'm sure you're familiar with the flex office. So a lot of people are thinking that they're split between their office everywhere. And the people as a coach who are running and managing best are people who maintain a very intense communication, like this notion of togetherness despite the COVID. And so this notion of communication, direct communication, horizontal management, and absolutely not descendant management where you have a boss who knows and have a collaborator who do. This is finished.
I agree with you.
Yes.
That I would advise is really try to be more horizontal in your communication, work with this notion of helping the others to get enlightened, and not, working once against the other. So it's really building a togetherness in this notion of humanity that I mentioned before that will help. And for this, you need to master, manager as a leader, you need to master tools that sometimes could not work, such as, any type of web and video conferences tools, and also try to find creative way to have meetings through those tools. So you have all types, of things like, things that you can use like words, clouds, and polls. And so way to include others, but in a fun way. Sometimes you have post-it methods, design thinking methods that you can still use while you are in virtual, while you're not in presential. So I think this is something you need to have in mind as a tool. Stay together, be horizontal, be creative in this lack of presential. If you have to do things through computer, try to make it also fun. Creative.
So what are actually now what's up, tomorrow in the upcoming months? What are your short-term and long-term goals for the future?
So my short-term goals is working on this theatrical presentation that we called Collective Humanity, learning from resilient communities such as survivors of genocide, survivors of excisions. And so together with the pianist, we will explore, some resilient quotes from what we call act of just. So this notion of just, who hide Jews during the war. We are applying to all of the genocides, like Hutu who hide Tutsis, Turks who hide Armenians. So basically, we have testimonies of those people. And so we're going to make a theater play out of it, theater act out of it, and to actually give hopes in humanity, showing that what we consider could be our worst enemy, we were talking about stereotypes and bias, could actually save our lives. because there is humanity within themselves as human beings, and also the strength and the courage of those people who just decided to find a way to survive, are not only here to mourn and complain, but on the contrary, are here to show us that this is possible, that we are all survivors in a way. So this is something that I'm exploring right now, really the learnings of resilient communities based on the survivors of genocide, survivors of excision too, especially regarding the work I'm doing in Congo with Eve Ensler, who she is the very famous playwright of the Jana monologue, which is a wonderful piece. So she created the City of Joy in Congo, which is a place to welcome a lot of women who has suffered excision, and she teaching them how to survive, how to be proud of themselves, posture talks, and she's doing a wonderful rebuilding life work. So I'm working also with her. So those, I would say, directions are the ones that I am dealing with, together with, of course, the UNESCO Artists for Peace movement, and I hope the Harvard community with their program of community resilience and resilient community. Sorry.
So thank you so much, Guila, for being part of our Hashtag Creativity Will Save Us series. I would like to remind our audience that this conversation will be available on our official YouTube channel, Creative Pois-On, where you can also follow our complete Hashtag Creativity Will Save Us series playlist. And please, if you like us, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like our videos, leave comments, and share your thoughts about our wonderful artists, because really this is saving us. And I'm saying just because it's the name of the series, because I do really feel it.
Yeah, we both do. And I would also like to remind you that the hashtag Creativity Will Save Us is nominated for the United Nations SDG Impact Awards. You can vote for us by first registering an account on the website www.sdgimpactawards.org and then vote for our project. So please do. Also, if you have any questions or comments, or if these conversations inspired you, we invite you to share your thoughts and comments on our website, www.creativepoison.com, spelled creative, P-O-I-S-N, no O.com, and on our social media Facebook page at Creative Pois-On. And here in the spelling, we have the O, so it's a P-O-I-S-O-N. And on our Instagram account at creative_on, spelled POIS_ON. Yes, I know we like complicated stuff, but I know you love us, so.
Yes, exactly. And of course, please follow our wonderful guest, Guila Clara Kessous, and all of our creative initiatives, because really they're very important. And Guila, we always end our shows with our tagline, which I think it beautifully applies to you as well. So what do we say at the end? Ready, set, imagine.
Faith within your hands.
Thank you so much.
Faith within your hands. Faith within your hands. Faith within your hands. Yeah. When you're thinking of giving up, oh no, you know that through the struggle we are all the same. There is always something that goes wrong. Feel like it's never fate, there isn't time, is there? Yeah. You need to fall down. You need to come out. You need to fall down into your crown. That little miracle, faith within your hands.